Welcome everybody back to the Dorian show. How have you guys been? I know it's been a couple weeks since I last posted. Can you guys please make sure to like and subscribe to this channel so I could get some motivation to keep doing these videos? I got a question for you guys. Do I look fat? Anyway, today I want to talk about the strikes that are going on in the United States. Seems like everybody's on strike right now, right? It started out with the UPS workers, and then the writer's strike in Hollywood, and then now I guess the UAW, United Auto Workers. Major car companies in the United States are on strike also. And I just want to talk a little bit about like what I think about each situation. I actually think the three situations are very different. I think one of them is going to collapse in terms of like the industry and the negotiations. And clearly, obviously, like UPS came to a conclusion, came to an agreement before they even went on strike. And I think all three situations are very different. And just in general, like I'm like midpoint on unions, you know what I mean? Like I personally belong to a union. There are a lot of good things that go with it, like benefits and stuff. But then they also create a lot of fat, you know what I'm saying? And by that I mean like they tend to hold on to a lot of fat on their company or organization. Like there are a lot of people that are not pulling their weight, and they're just there like sucking up money. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about them, but in terms of the UPS, I think that's the best case scenario for everyone. In terms of UPS, they are like everybody's going towards online to buy stuff, and the demand for UPS drivers are gonna be high for like a long time. Like even if you get automated truck drivers, like you still need people to deliver the package to the front door. Like I don't want to go into the street to pick up my books or anything, actually furniture or anything. Like I want that delivered to my door. So I think, you know, for at least for the foreseeable future, I think we always need delivery person to bring it to your door. So there's already a high demand, and there's going to be a growing demand. And I remember when people first saw the announcement that I guess like in 4 to 5 years, like total compensation for a driver would be like $170,000, and people were making memes. First of all, they're not making $170,000. It's going to be salary and benefits, and that probably includes healthcare, and healthcare costs insane. Like if I quit my job right now, my healthcare would be like $600 to $700 a month. And if you could already imagine, like that's like $7,000-8,000 a year. So you take that away, retirement, et cetera. I mean, it's still a good it's a good amount of money. But who knows? In 5 years with inflation, it could be pretty crazy. But yeah, people were making memes about UPS drivers saying like that's what hot girls are looking for now. Like a UPS drivers, forget doctors, forget lawyers or bankers or whatnot. And I think the reason why the resolution for them, they came to agreement so fast, was because UPS cannot stop any of the deliveries. Like if they stop delivering stuff, it would crash the economy. People would be real pissed. It will affect everyday customers, and I think that's why it happens so fast. And these workers deserve, in my opinion, to get paid that much. Like they move like I bought this couch from Amazon, you know what I mean? They deliver that. They brought it all the way upstairs. I brought TVs and basically anything, big and small, books and stuff, to my home. And yeah, I mean, it's not an easy job. If it was, everybody would be doing it, right? So anyway, I'm happy for them. And I think overall it's just good for the market as well. Because UPS is doing this, it's going to force all the other delivery companies to raise their raise their salaries for the workers, like FedEx and even like Amazon's delivery service, and whatever else is out there. I think that's overall good. I don't think. I mean, people say they're going to push off the cost to the customers, but I'm like, I don't know. It's just, stuff online just have gotten more expensive. I do see inflation, but the ease and it's just not enough to even make a dent. You know what I mean? Like Amazon could raise prices on their Prime, and I don't even know how much it is right now. I use my brother's, but even I think if it's from $100 and they raise it to like $120, like I don't think to people that already have Amazon Prime, it's going to make a huge difference. So good on them. Like good on UPS, good on FedEx. Well, FedEx hasn't done shit yet, but good on UPS for agreeing to these demands that their workers have. And I think it's going to work out for everybody. So that's a good. That's good when everybody wins. You know what I mean? It's a win-win situation, I think, for everyone. And then, all right, up next, I guess. So I would say is UPS has the best situation, and obviously, I think the writers' situation is the worst. But I think in the middle is the United Auto Workers. I saw some of the demands that he says. It does sound kind of wild. They're like, we want to work 4 days a week, but get compensated for 80. Sorry, we want to get compensated for 4 days. We want to work 4 days a week, but get compensated for a full week, 5 days a week. Which I'm like, all right, whatever. But then they're demanding like a raise of 45% over the term of I guess 4 years, which is kind of crazy. I don't know. It depends how much they're making. I hear some people are making, like when you just start with them, you're making like $16 an hour. Then yeah, that's kind of fucked up. Like you need to pay those guys more. But I also hear there's some people working for these car companies that are making like $60 an hour, and all of a sudden that's a lot of money. You know what I mean? And I think they're trying to balance out everyone's pay. So like they won't have people doing the same job, but some getting paid less and some getting paid more. I don't know if that's based on seniority or because of budget cuts. You know what I mean? Like in my job, people that were here before me were making a lot more. Like I think if someone started today working at my job, they would make like 40% less than me, and they would basically do the same job, which I do agree. It's kind of dumb, but it's also like incentive kind of get people to stay. And I think a lot of places with like a union, they tell you exactly what step you are. So when you start out, you might make like $16 an hour, but by the time 8 years in or something like that, you'll know you'll make like $60 an hour, which, you know, I think it gets people to stay, but at the same time, it kind of sucks when you're making 16 and the old guy next to you is making 60 and you guys are doing the same work, and sometimes they're doing like worse of a job. What did I think about it? Well, in terms of the auto strike, I think in the beginning, the workers are going to get what they want. They're going to, because, you know, the demand in cars are still high. Like people still love trucks in America. And I know, and I forget what 3 auto companies, but I think they're all American. Like there's a high demand for trucks, and, you know, Americans are going to keep buying these big giant cars that cost a lot of money. And, I think in the short term, like the auto company will probably, I guess they will have to make some concessions. I don't know, but I think they'll probably have it settled pretty quick. You know what I mean? Like they need to deliver cars. People still want cars. I don't think that's ever going to stop. It is a little concerning that we might be going into a recession soon. But yeah, I mean, I thought we were going to be in recession like maybe a year ago or 2 years ago, and it hasn't come yet. So we don't know. And I think as long as there's demand for cars, and if these people stop working, they have stopped working for a day, but like if they stop working, there's going to be impact immediately. Like you won't have your cars now, and that's gonna really screw things up for these companies because they're gonna lose market share to companies that are not unionized, like such as Tesla. So that's the other thing that makes it really hard. I think basically, so they're gonna give in to the demands of the union, and then I think they're just gonna start cutting jobs. Maybe not immediately, but probably within the next 2 to 5 years. I think they're gonna try to move as much of those jobs away to Mexico or to wherever. And I know the U.S. is a little afraid of like China right now, so they do want manufacturing in the United States, and I guess the car companies will do the bare minimum of jobs in the U.S. and ship the rest overseas. Because I mean, most of these companies are just getting into electric, and Tesla's already been electric for what, 20 years, and recently, like Elon's been dropping Tesla prices by like 30%, so they're getting cheaper and cheaper, and to compete, like these car manufacturers have to offer electric cars that are cheaper than Tesla. You know, they don't have the brand name, so it doesn't. No one is going to get a Ford or Chrysler or whatever for $60,000 when they could get a Tesla for $60,000. You know what I mean? So I think these companies need to beat Tesla in price, but unfortunately, they're unionized. Tesla's not unionized. They're going to have to pay their workers a lot more, and I just don't know how they're going to be able to cut down those prices of the cars unless they move a lot of the jobs overseas. So, and I think this is what's ultimately going to happen for car companies. Like, few people will win, like, and immediately, like the people that have the jobs, they'll win. But then I think over in the long term, new workers in the factories are going to lose, because if they have union, I'm guessing is based on seniority when they lay people off. So if you're newer and you're just starting on these car companies, you should probably look for another job, get your experience here, and try to get something else in the next 5 years. Because I think a lot of those jobs will be gone. But if your seniority, you're like been there 10, 20 years, your job might be fine depending on how many jobs they cut, and you'll get to enjoy like higher pay. But yeah, I think in the short term they'll get what they want, but in the long term, these jobs are going to be gone. Like, yeah, they're probably going to go to Mexico. But yeah, and then the third one, it's going to be the writer's strike in Hollywood, and I think this one is not going to look good for the writers, and it's not because I don't support them. It's just I don't think realistically they're going to be able to get what they want. I read some of the demands they had. Like they want like guaranteed pay for people that come in. I guess some people like don't get the full season. Like they only work for like a couple weeks and they're able to get kicked off. They want more writers with guaranteed job. They want higher rates, which is fine, I guess. And for sure, I heard this thing where Hollywood companies are asking actors, like backup actors, to basically give their likeness over to them. So they're like, oh yeah, we're going to do a full body scan of your appearance, and then we get to own that forever and not pay you. Excuse me, not pay you when they use you as a background in a movie. And I think that's pretty bullshit. Like, I don't think you could own someone's likeness. I think people could rent it out, but you can't own someone. That's almost slavery. You know what I mean? Like owning someone's likeness and their appearance. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know. I think if they allow that right now, I think that's something like the government needs to step in and say like, no, you could rent someone's likeness, you know, have rights to my, like, if I want to give up my rights to be a background actor, I could like, you could, you know, rent it out for maybe like 3 years or something like that. But to have you own my likeness forever and I don't get any part of that, that's slavery, dude. So I'm against that. The thing that sucks for the writer strike and the actor strike, and I don't know who else is striking in Hollywood, is that at first it starts with there's an issue of supply and demand. There's just so many damn writers and actors out there, and and a lot of them aren't even established, meaning like they're barely working, like, or not working at all. You know what I mean? Like they're doing stuff for free. I mean, it reminds me a lot of stand-up comedy, which if you guys don't know and you're listening to this, welcome to my show. I do stand-up sometime, and I don't get paid anything, but like there's no union for stand-ups. You know, there's so many stand-ups right now that we're willing to work for free. We're paying to get stage time a lot of times. You know what I mean? We're paying $5 for 5 minutes. We're buying a drink to get 5 minutes. And I think that that's the kind of the same issue with Hollywood, except I guess making films, there's higher demand, so your chances of at least getting in as an extra is better than being a stand-up. But there's just so many of you guys, and everybody's kind of jockeying in terms of actors, at least. Like everybody's trying to be the star. Like I don't think anyone's going to acting to be like, oh, I just want to make a living being a background actor, right? I think some people fall into it, like they don't want to act, and then they're like, someone's just like, hey, you want this background gig? There's free food and we'll pay you, I don't know, $40-$60 an hour, and most of the time you're just waiting. And some people love it. Like I know some people that just do background work because the pay is good, but they don't give a shit about acting. Anyway, where I was at, there's just so many actors and writers, and there are not enough money to go around. And that's the sad truth. Like right now I think they're on strike for over 4 months, right, at this point. And I mean, if you're listening to this and you follow the stock market, all the Hollywood studios are all-time lows. Like I own Disney stock. The share price is like under $90, I think, and I think hasn't been this low for like 10 years. So there are no money in the studios. Like everybody's just burning cash. Like Disney Plus is just burning cash. They're losing money, right? Also, their movies haven't been that great recently. Like the last 10 movies they put out between Disney, Pixar, Star Wars, whatever they own, Marvel, whatever they own, like it hasn't done well. Like even if I think a few of them made money, but like the sentiment towards the films are like, it's whatever. It's not. In terms of Marvel, they haven't had anything as successful as Avengers. I guess Guardians of the Galaxy is pretty good, but like Ant-Man is garbage. Like it all sucks. And they're just making so many shows that sucks. Their Star Wars show sucks on Disney Plus. Their Marvel shows are kind of suck. Like most of them suck. There are a couple of good ones, obviously, but yeah, like you're striking at a time where they're bleeding money, and I just don't know if that's a good plan to have. Same thing for like Warner Brothers and like Paramount or whatever studios they are going. It's the only studios that are making any money are basically Amazon and Apple, and that's because they're not even that's not their bread and butter. Like Apple basically makes money off people that download Netflix app, Disney Plus app, and they get 30% of that. So they sell so much fucking iPhones, and they charge so much for their services that they're making entertainment for their Apple TV for fun, basically. You know what I mean? Like they're not relying on that. So I don't think I bet you they don't really care about these new terms and agreements, because it's like a drop in the bucket for them. Same thing with Amazon. Like Amazon Prime Video has stuff, but like that's not their bread and butter. They're selling you stuff. They have their cloud business. They have their advertising business. Like it's just an add-on perk. But I don't see how Disney is going to be able to pay so much, And I know people are like saying, "Oh, Bob Iger gave himself $20 billion or whatever," but I'm like, his job is. I know people don't like this, but at the end of the day, his job is to make money for the shareholders, and he's currently not doing a good job. Okay, we're at all-time lows, and I don't know how. I think at some point they're gonna have to settle. I think it's been like a third of a year. You know what I mean? Like, and a lot of these actors have to work if that's all they're doing, right? But I think a lot of them are able to kind of just strike for this long time because they're not acting full time. They're not running full time. They probably have a side gig, but it all affects, unfortunately, because all of Hollywood's locked down. Like they can't produce. So people in production, people that writers, people that actors, that money is not coming in, and then that means they're not spending the money. Meaning even these side jobs they have at restaurants, at coffee shops, are going to suffer, and they might lose their job, and they might lose their homes and their apartments, which is super sad. But I don't know. I think they might settle soon, but kind of like the auto job thing. I think a lot of people are just not going to be able to afford to live in LA and to do this job, right? Because if Hollywood needs to pay more for actors and have to have so many, and writers have to be guaranteed so many spots, it just kind of boxes out everybody kind of on the fringe, right? You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden, someone that's like just getting into acting, maybe getting like a few jobs a year, won't get jobs anymore because Hollywood doesn't want to guarantee them the minimum when they're like, we'll just pay like one person more, you know, we'll just use him or her over the, you know, we'll just use him or her over and over again. Same thing with writers. I think there's just so many writers that they're just going to use the same writers over and over again. And also, I think there's just going to be less TV shows and less movies. And I think, or is it fewer TV shows and fewer movies? I don't know. I'm Asian. I don't know. I think that actually might be a good thing. There's just a glut of terrible movies and shows right now, especially coming out from Disney. And that's who I like follow more because I am invested and I am down like $10,000 right now on my Disney stock. So yeah, I think people are just going to lose their jobs. I think there are going to be fewer television shows, fewer movies, but probably better quality. And I guess there's going to be way more, what do you call those? Reality TV shows. I think those are going to continue going up since it doesn't cost too much to make them. I guess everybody wants to be famous. There's really no writers, right? Or is everything scripted? I don't know. Just more 10,000-pound sisters for us. And I guess while I'm on the topic of Disney, I think they were on a strike of their own with was it Comcast, Charter, one of those cable companies. They pulled all their shows, and I think it was Charter, and then they finally agreed with Charter that Charter is going to pay a little bit more money, but then they're going to give Charter TV cable subscribers like free Disney Plus and free ESPN Plus, depending what you order on your cable channel. And I think that's a good deal that they've done that, you know, especially because football season's out. I think it's good for Disney, even though people say it might be bad for them. But I think in the short term, it is good for Disney. Like Disney really has only like two like money makers, right? They're golden goose, and that's parks, right? Disneyland always kills it. That's not a problem. It's always killing it. And then the other money bag they own is cable. Even though that bag is getting smaller and smaller, these cables are paying a ton of money for like ESPN, for football and basketball. I think the revenues on those are getting smaller and smaller over the years, but in the meantime, it's still a big chunk of money for Disney. As they slowly transition, and I don't understand how Disney fumbled. I do know. I think maybe like 4 years ago when the UFC sold for like $2 to $4 billion, I feel like Disney could have had a great opportunity right then and there to buy up the UFC, and more recently WWE wrestling. They could have bought these two companies. Well, I think they're worth more now, but I think at the time they could have got UFC for probably like $4 billion and just own it. You know what I'm saying? And just have that exclusively for ESPN Plus forever. And I think that is such a missed opportunity for Disney Plus, or for Disney in general. And I get it. They don't want to have a whole different business there, but I think Dana White, like him or not, runs that ship pretty well. I just think Disney probably didn't do that because they really dug themselves into like a, what do you call it, like a political hole, you know what I mean? Like they went they basically dug their heels in and say they're very liberal. You know what I mean? They're anti-conservative, and I think that's probably a bad idea. And also one of the reasons why they didn't want to go into UFC, because I don't know if you guys watched the last UFC, Strickland versus Adesanya. Like, there were just two guys out there dropping homophobic slurs after the fight, but you got to understand, like, people that watch UFC fights, they don't really care, you know what I mean? Like, people just want to see people get beaten up. You know what I mean? Of course, there are heels. There are people that everybody loves, like Conor McGregor, no matter, like, how sleazy is the stuff he says. Everybody loves Adesanya. He's the guy that just lost. Everybody hates Colby Covington because he's kind of a douchebag. And there's some people that like those guys that, you know what I mean? But, like, in UFC, they don't care about politics. You can say whatever you want. And I guess because Disney dug down so hard on their political beliefs, I guess that's a missed opportunity. You know what I mean? Because right now they license the UFC's fights and stuff for, like, the next 6 years. But I'm like, they could have just owned the whole damn thing, and that would have really propped up ESPN Plus, you know what I mean? And then if they were able to just buy out WWE, like, it's just, yeah, I just think it's a missed opportunity. Because if you keep licensing out rights from these sports, like, they're just going to ask for more and more money as they're getting more popular. You might as well just buy them when they're at the bottom. But yeah, I don't know what Disney's doing. It's also weird that they're doing all these movies where it sounds like their actresses and actors really hate the source material. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, we're that new lady who's playing Snow White's talking shit about the old Snow White, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know. I mean, I think if I was running a company, I would just make money decisions. You know what I mean? Like, Disney stuff are for, like, Disney movies, like princess movies, I'm going to keep it traditional, okay? Even though people don't like it, I'll do a lot of stuff. I'll do, like, princesses. I'll keep it pretty traditional, you know what I mean? Like, they don't have to be the fierce warrior. They can be more feminine, but, you know what I mean? Like, but still a good story. Yeah, I'll keep Disney stuff for, like, kids and families. Like, you don't need to teach them too many political things. I'll make Marvel... Honestly, this is Marvel is, like, basically men, right? You know who watch movies, Marvel movies? Men and, like, the girlfriends they bring. So I would keep that woke shit out of it. You know what I mean? If you want to make money, like, just make Marvel, like, just dude movies, just kick-ass guys. And then for, like, Disney stuff, you make stuff that are geared towards, like, little kids. You know what I mean? Like princesses, dragons, all this magical stuff, and you don't need to do, like, anything sexist, but you don't need to go freaking crazy and, like, have, like, a gay couple make out in the back or some shit just because that's the, like, the political thing. Like, just shoot kids movies, dude. Like, kids don't really care about that, you know? And then ESPN Plus, like, that's just sports. But yeah, I don't know what Disney can do. They have all these IPs. I hope they could turn it around. I'm gonna hold on to my empty bag of Disney, even though I'm down like $10,000. I'm gonna hold on to it. You know, they still have great IPs, right? They own all of Marvel, which is insane. All of Star Wars. You could do a lot of it with that, but, you know, just stop making shitty content. Like, you guys could make fewer content and make better things. Like, HBO has figured it out. Like, people always tune in for Game of Thrones. They always tune in for Succession. Like, Disney could hire people to write really good stories, right? Instead of having like 3 Star Wars show a year, you could have 1 Star Wars show and just do a really good job about it and not worry about being woke, but, like, telling a good story. Like, I think at the end of the day, that's what people care about. And same thing with Marvel and all that. Just make really good quality, must-see TV. Can't miss it. Like, you have to make it that people want to watch it live. Like Game of Thrones. Like, people don't want to go back and watch it. Like it's part of the culture. And I think they could do that. I think they could probably do that with movies. Stop making shitty movies, I guess. And yeah, hopefully they could bring it let it turn around. And I don't know what they're gonna do with ESPN. Because part of me is like, why doesn't NBA just have their own streaming platform? They could probably make a lot of money. You know what I mean? But yeah, ESPN. I really thought they should have bought UFC and then WWE. For sure, they could have bought UFC. I don't know if they could buy them both when they're like $20 billion. But yeah, I guess that's my rant for this week. It's very finance heavy, but you know, I like business. Why don't you guys comment down below and tell me what else I should talk about? I'm burping. Anyway, I love you guys. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.